Hey, what you reading for?
Hey, what's up YouTube? A bit of a strange video I have planned for today. I have been wrestling with some incongruities I've been seeing in society and in literature, and I've come up with a few theories I want to share with you. So one thing that I love about this platform is I can share some of my crazy ideas with the public, and then you guys can push back and tell me how much of an idiot I am, which is helpful. That's a good way to learn. But also, I might not be an idiot. I might be onto something. We'll see. I have some theories to share with you. We'll get to those a little bit later. Strange, not great experience with horror in April that I want to tell you about. I have some theories about what's going on in horror, contemporary horror. But yeah, I've been a bit down on horror lately, which is bad timing because I have a horror book coming out in a few weeks, or 1 week. It's called The Quick and the Still. I'll make a video about that once I get my author copy sent to me. But yeah, what am I doing putting out books? I have, obviously, I don't understand what a good book is. I mean, books that hundreds of thousands of people love, I don't love them. And I'm not trying to be a hipster. I really want to be in the know, in the move. I want to be with everybody else. I'm not trying to be a hipster. But apparently what the public likes is not stuff that I like. And the books that I write, I try to write books that I like, which means I mean, that would explain why I live in a constant state of poverty, living out of my suitcase, I guess. I mean, that's one of the reasons. I often pick books that are beloved, that are critically acclaimed, or that are wildly popular with readers. And so I'll check them out because I want to know what has people so excited and why people, what it is that people love. And so I'll get a book that hundreds of thousands of readers love, and I will try to love it too. And more often than not, I will not be successful. So this is another installment of the ongoing series of Michael Fails to Love. Because in April, I failed to love. I started off the month with the goal of trying to slow down, trying to get a hold of my reading addiction. Maybe I was noticing that I wasn't enjoying the books as much as I thought I should be, and I was just reading one after the other, which can happen if you're a booktuber. And I decided I would slow down. So what I did is I just decided to tackle a big book, 1,200-page book, Lonesome Dove. And I also started another big book of 600 pages, but this one in Spanish, by a Spanish author, Carlos Ruiz Zafón, La Sombra del Viento, or The Shadow of the Wind. For me, reading in Spanish is a significantly slower process, so I figured this would be a good way to slow me down. And to that end, it was successful. Yeah, I enjoyed a relatively slower pace than usual in April. For Lonesome Dove, I'm about halfway through it. It's 100 chapters. I'm on chapter 47. And I'm not into it at all, really. I mean, I don't hate it, but I'm never excited to go back to it, which is tough because it's a big book. You would expect, I mean, I would expect a little bit of momentum to be generated, but I'm just not into it. And I've heard from many people that it gets better the more you read it. Hopefully that will happen with Lonesome Dove. I was expecting a love story. I'm not sure if there is a love story in this book, but that was my expectation. Hopefully there will be a love story. So far, I don't see any love on the horizon. We'll see. I mean, fingers crossed. And La Sombra del Viento, this is another book that people love. My mother loves it so much. That's why I decided to read it. And yeah, I'm not connecting with it at all. But I don't think the fault is in the book. I think it's just a genre that doesn't work for me. It's like adult's quest. I mean, he's I think 17 years old, not really adult, but I'm halfway through the book, so maybe he gets older as the book goes on. But right now he's 17 years old, and he's just trying to find out information about this author who passed away and about the books that have gone out of print. That's basically the setup. But he goes from person to person with clues and try to find out the real story or find out what happened. And it's just a lot of like exposition. And it's all unearned too. Like he just goes up to the people and he often under false pretenses, and they just tell him what he needs to know, and they give him another clue, and he goes to another person who gives him another clue. It's not my it's just not my style of I don't like quest books, I think. Although I do have Watership Down on my TBR, which I think is a quest book. I think it's kind of one of the standards for quest books. So I'm going to check it out. Hopefully I will react better to that book than I am reacting to La Sombra de Viento. But then again, I'm only halfway through. Maybe it will pick up. But I did have some positive reading experiences in April, and we'll go through them chronologically, starting with Bel Canto by Ann Patchett. Now, this was my first experience with Ann Patchett's work, and I've been looking forward to checking her out for a while now. She's had several hits, and this is one of her earlier books, one of her first hits, I think. And the reason I read this book is I felt like, or I still feel like I'm in a bit of a reading slump. And I have a few slump busters that I'll go to, and one of them is the Women's Prize for Fiction. Books that win that prize or are nominated for that prize, generally speaking, tend to work very well with me as a reader. So I was in a bit of a slump, said I need to break out of this slump. Let me read a Women's Prize for Fiction winner. And I looked through the list and I said, oh, Ann Patchett, yeah, okay. And I found it at the library. Perfect. Read it and really enjoyed it. Thought it was excellent. A great setup. The setup is that there is a private party held in an unnamed Latin American country. These dignitaries and business leaders and politicians are invited to this private party with the hope of persuading a Japanese businessman to build a factory in their country, which he has no intention of doing. But he came to the party because they got a soprano from Chicago, this world-famous soprano, to perform at the party, and he's a huge opera fan. So he goes to the party for that. The party is raided by a militia group, and they want to kidnap the president so that they have some political demands that they want met. So this is the opening of the book. I was quite impressed with this book. I had a good time with it. I look forward to reading more from Ann Patchett. She's had several hits. I think I might check out maybe Commonwealth or Tom Lake. I don't know. If you've had any experience with Ann Patchett's work, let me know what you think my second Ann Patchett experience should be. I'm not entirely sure how I am supposed to feel about this work because it deals with love, but it's not like a standard love. It's not a love that I'm used to exploring. This is the love of love, if you will, that is expressed in relationships between people, but I mean, they don't really love each other, not the way I understand love to be. Then again, I really don't understand love. But these characters, they don't know each other, so how can they fall in love? Oftentimes they don't even speak the same language. And yet they express their love. I'm not entirely sure how I'm supposed to feel about it. I wasn't exactly rooting for the characters to fall in love, but it happened, and I went with it. Not so sure I like how things turned out for them, but I think it's a book about the human need for companionship. Maybe that's what I brought into the book. I will make a confession that I was slightly nervous about reading this book because of the title, Bel Canto, and I knew that there was going to be talk of opera. in this book, and I'm a huge fan of opera. I love opera, except Italian opera. Like Bel Canto is not at all. It's low on the list, the bottom of the list of the types of opera that I like. I like Russian opera, French opera, American opera, more contemporary than Bel Canto. And in Italian, it doesn't work on me. So I figured my anti-Italian opera bias would negatively affect the reading experience. However, Bel Canto is just the title of the book. It's true that there is opera and there's a love for opera, but it's not just Italian opera. I mean, they talk about French opera and German and other operas. No American opera referenced, but this is from the 80s. So this is before John Adams and before Menotti, I think. So I can forgive them their omission of American opera.
Excuse me, Michael, but that is incorrect. Bel Canto was published in 2001. Giancarlo Menotti began his long career in 1933 with the opera Emilia Goes to the Ball. And John Adams' Nixon in China debuted in 1987. Maybe if you did a little research before you opened your mouth, it wouldn't take you so long to edit your videos. Just a thought.
Next, I had a 5-star read, which is great. I'm quite stingy with my stars, so a 5-star read is rare for me. But not surprising from this author, because this author had given me 2 other 5-star reads, and that is Davis Grubb, and I read The Voices of Glory, and it was amazing. It's a novel, however, it's not presented in a typical novel format. It more closely resembles a collection of short stories. So basically you have in West Virginia, the town of Glory, West Virginia, which is a real town. However, the name has been changed. It's in real life, it's called something else. But you have the members of the community. They all tell their story or give their testimony, which is tangentially related to or directly about Marcy Cressap. Marcy Cressap was a real person, and she was a nurse who just fought for the downtrodden of the South, for people who needed care and treatment for tuberculosis mainly, but in poor communities and who were neglected by the medical establishment. She also fought for just labor rights, people's rights in general, and she fought against capital punishment. So she made a lot of enemies. And here we have, and some of them give their story, share their stories, give their testimony. And it's quite a collection. I mean, you have just beautiful stories, heart-wrenching sometimes, funny sometimes. There is one that is just a brilliant display, a brilliant expression of hypocrisy, which is the testimony from the preacher. And you have some that are, from the premise of the book, you might think that it might be a bit saccharine, and at times it is, but at times it's just really effective. And it's quite there's quite a variety here, although every story is loosely about Marcy Cressap and about fighting for injustice and fighting for the downtrodden. It's a spectacular work of fiction from a spectacular author, and this is going to lead me to first theory I would like to share with you. Because I was thinking of doing a video on Southern literature, great Southern writers of the United States. So I just did a Google search for great Southern writers. Here, invariably, you have Margaret Mitchell, you've got Cormac McCarthy, William Faulkner, Harper Lee. Well, Harper Lee wrote one book, well, 2 really, but I mean really just 1. And I mean, it's a spectacular book, but I don't know, can we put her on a list of greatest Southern writers? And a name you will not find on any list of great Southern writers is Davis Grubb. And for me, he's the absolute best, and he's also the most Southern. I mean, he is very Southern. His books, they have a Southern dialect to them. They all take place in the South, in West Virginia. And they're really, really great works of literature. I am baffled that he is not more celebrated than he is. And I need to understand why. I mean, this seems like something is not making sense in the world. So his first book, The Night of the Hunter, 5-star read for me. I can understand, not really. I mean, I kind of understand why it wasn't a huge hit. It's maybe too literary for horror fans and too horror for literary readers, maybe. But it's a spectacular book. I mean, and it had a hit movie adaptation too. Although it took years for that movie to be recognized as a hit. I think when it first came out, it didn't interest people at all. But then you go on to his second book, A Dream of Kings, another 5-star read for me. It's brilliant. It's out of print. But The Sun Also Rises, you can find that in any bookstore. Something's not right. Life isn't fair, is it? So, and then you have The Voices of Glory, which is amazing. So why is Davis Grubb not making the lists of greatest Southern writers or greatest American writers, to be honest with you, of the 20th century? Now, here's my theory. Now, to make these lists, to be regarded as one of the all-time greats, you need to have some success in academia, and whatever books are being assigned reading in high schools and in universities. Because for a lot of people, that's really where they do their reading. A lot of people will read for school, and then when they get on with their real life, reading isn't a part of it. So I think to have this kind of mass critical acclaim and mass popularity with the public, you need to break through to academia. You need to get your books being taught or being assigned reading in schools. And I think this is where Davis Grubb is going to pose a problem. Because like I said, in my opinion, he's very Southern. I mean, he's not, from one page, from one paragraph, you're reading a Southern author. And the stories in the South with Southern characters. And Davis Grubb, he's poking the hornet's nest. Is that an expression? To poke a hornet's nest? He's stirring up trouble. He depicts the South with its beauty and its charms, but also with its defects and its injustices and its hypocrisy. He will definitely point that out in his works. The Voices of Glory is by no means an exception to that. For example, The Night of the Hunter, his first book, the villain is a preacher, a guy who goes around claiming to be a man of God, but he murders women and chases children in the hopes of killing them and stealing their money. So he's a horrible person, and a lot of people in the South, they fall for him because he talks about God, so they fall for his ruse. And The Dream of Kings is set during the Civil War, and you have a Confederate soldier who, what do you call that when you abandon the war? I forget, there's a name for that. Oh, a deserter, that's what it is. Yeah, so the Confederate soldier who is a deserter, and he's the hero of the book, for example. So I can see why in the South of the United States, maybe some schools would be reluctant to feature Davis Grubb in their required reading. He's unquestionably an excellent and amazing author. However, I can appreciate how a community or a region would not want their dirty laundry aired for everyone to see. And then on the other side of the coin, you have in the North or in other parts of the U.S., especially the North, I could see if they were to recommend Davis Grubb or put Davis Grubb in their curriculum, I could see that almost as being antagonistic, as maybe, again, poking the hornet's nest, or, rubbing salt into the wound of the South. The South lost the war. The South and the North, there's some animosity going on there, and in putting one of their authors who airs their dirty laundry out, it could be seen as maybe a jab to the South, maybe. So that's my theory as to why academia is reluctant to place their Davis Grubb in their curriculum. However, there are probably many exceptions. I'm guessing there are many universities and high schools that have Davis Grubb as required reading. I hope so. I think in a world that makes sense to me, when I Google great Southern authors and I find a list that has 40 names on it, I would expect Davis Grubb to be on that list. And he's never, I've seen dozens of lists. So I need to understand why. So that's my theory as to maybe it's just the subject matter and it's just too Southern, maybe. Now, I am not from the South. I did live in Tennessee, in Nashville, Tennessee for 4 years. I'll tell you this story. I grew up in Paris, France, and moved to the United States, to the north, to Ohio, and then I went to university in Tennessee. And going from Ohio to Tennessee was for me a greater culture shock than moving from Paris to Ohio. I was a bit older as well, but I don't know, it's funny. This was back in the 90s, so maybe things have changed a bit, but it shocked me at just how different it was. It was nice, though. I like Tennessee. And I'm a huge Davis Grubb fan, so I can't be called a Southern hater. I also need to get my monthly horror fix, so I picked this book up at the library, Hidden Pictures by Jason Rekulak. I don't know how this book got on my radar. I think it was probably a fellow booktuber who recommended it. But I had heard good things about this book. So I went into this book blind, which is something that I like to do. However, I think with horror, I might need to reconsider that strategy, because this is clearly not the book for me. This is what I would call Scooby-Doo horror. Scooby-Doo is horror. It takes place in a horror universe. However, you don't feel like the characters are in danger ever, and it's all kind of silly. And that's kind of the vibe of this book. It's the vibe of a lot of contemporary horror being put out. What I liked about this book is that it makes its intentions clear from the start. There is our protagonist. She is a recovering addict, so she tells us that she consumes a lot of Hallmark movies that are put out by the Hallmark Channel. If you're familiar with the Hallmark Channel, it's where everybody is wealthy and beautiful, and they live like happy lives, but there's crazy drama going on, but still everything works out fine. I guess that's a poor description of the Hallmark Channel, but I think you know what the Hallmark Channel is. I've actually never seen the Hallmark Channel, but I have seen YouTubers talk about it, so I think I have an idea of what it is. And so she tells us that she's really into the Hallmark Channel, and it comes up quite frequently, which lets us know, because this is really a Hallmark Channel horror. It definitely fits in it definitely has that kind of tone. There is a ghost. It is a ghost story at its core, so obviously we're talking about some silliness. And there's a Ouija board, and not as a board game for preteens to play with, but as like adults trying to communicate with the ghost using a Ouija board. So clearly not the kind of book for me. This is a book that it's like, I would call it cozy horror. It's safe horror. It plays nice. You know that the characters aren't really in any danger. Nothing bad is really going to happen. It takes place in a affluent neighborhood. Everybody has nice things. They live in nice houses. And then there's a ghost, and then you got to deal with all that. But it works out fine. And it's a feel-good horror, which I don't know why I react so badly to feel-good stuff. What do I have against feeling good? That's not the way I'm supposed to feel. I'm supposed to feel bad all the time. Stop trying to make me feel good. It's interfering with my grumpiness. But cozy Hallmark Channel horror, Scooby-Doo horror, is very popular today. Which is, on the one hand, I'm happy that people are finding the books that are making them happy, that are working for them. But to be honest with you, on the other hand, it kind of makes me sad. You know, but it's sad, but not in a good way. It's like, have you ever had this experience where, like, maybe decades ago or a long time ago, you had a friend, and your friend was bad, right? He's the rebel, or she's the rebel, you know, and your parents told you, oh, don't hang out with that guy, but that guy's so cool, and he rides a motorcycle with no helmet. That's dangerous, but he looks really cool doing it. And when you hang out, you know you could get into trouble, but you know it's going to be exciting. For me, growing up, that's what horror was for me. It was something that was dangerous and something that the adults didn't want me exploring. And but I thought it was super cool. And then, like, decades later, you see that friend again, and he's telling dad jokes and driving a minivan. Like, hey, what happened to the motorcycle, man? What happened with the leather jacket, man? What's going on? He's like, hey, it's still me. But, you know, times change. It's kind of the reaction I have with horror right now. I mean, there is still some dangerous, not safe, irreverent horror being put out. It's definitely the minority. I mean, that is, you have to dig for it to find it. Most horror coming out today is feel good horror. It's play nice horror. It's even in the movies, I mean, there's a lot of meta horror comedies, and some of them I enjoy. It's fine, but I miss my dangerous friend that I wasn't supposed to hang out with. It made life exciting. And now, I mean, the minivan is fine. I guess it gets me to the destination on time and safe. But, you know, I kind of miss riding on that motorcycle without the helmet. Made me feel alive, made me feel something. Riding the minivan, it doesn't have me feeling a lot, if I'm being honest. I'm going to put out a video maybe more about this book, because it did bring up a lot of questions about what's going on in the horror world. Some questions I want to explore. This was my first experience with Jason Rekulak. I'm not going to have a second experience. I'm not trying to say anything bad about this book or about this writer. If you're into, you know, the play nice, feel good horror, there's a very good chance this is going to work for you. This is a very popular book. It has worked on a lot of readers. Just didn't work on me. I'm guessing from his name that he has Hungarian origins, because some of the characters in the story also have Hungarian origins. I do not have Hungarian origins, but I lived in Hungary for so long that it feels like it's like a second home for me. So it was nice to see that in there. I'm still looking for my first home, but Hungary is my second home. So I always enjoy when there's some Hungarian words in here and some Hungarian characters. I always enjoy when I come across that in literature. Times change, people change, and it seems like the public is really into this Hallmark Channel horror. It's been very popular nowadays. And I'm not trying to be a hipster again. I want to be with the in crowd, you know? I want to enjoy what other people are enjoying. I want to sit at the cool kid table, right? But the cool kids, today the cool kids are pretty lame, you know? A bunch of dorks, really. So, do you have any experience with the books or authors I talked about in this video? Do you have any idea why Davis Grubb is not more widely celebrated like he should be? And what do you think of this trend in horror, in this really nice, safe for work horror that is so popular nowadays? Out of curiosity, based on the title and the cover, what do you think The Quick and the Still is about? Whatever you're thinking, it's not that, but I'd be curious to hear nonetheless. I always look forward to connecting with you in the comments section. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And thank you for watching. I'll see you at the next video.